Okay, so what I realized is I don't think that I have made any videos about pulling handles. And this Memorial Day, I sat and I threw some pots in the morning and I made some mugs. So I said, let me throw some handles. Okay, so what you're gonna notice, I'm starting with this sort of Google Maps shape piece of clay. I did that by making a ball and then just kind of hitting the side of it with my hand angled like this so that it starts to point. Kind of looks like a big fat carrot from a video. I have a bucket of water filled about 3/4 of the way up. Sometimes I reserve my harder clay to make a handle. And if I do and the clay's a little hard, I'll make this warm water. That's gonna make it a little more malleable. Or I just use regular water. So what I'm gonna be doing is extruding regular water. Of course, regular water, but like room temperature or the water that comes out. All right, I digress. So what we're gonna be doing is extruding the clay through our hand. What we wanna do is we wanna have it in sort of this round sort of shape like this. We wanna hold it with our non-dominant hands. We're gonna start about 1 inch from the top. And we're gonna start to pull. In the beginning, you're gonna use a lot of water because you wanna get all these clay grains that are hanging out up here to extend and sort of quote unquote stack down. Not really easy to figure out how it's gonna stack down, but we wanna replace them from up here and make them sort of longer. So we're gonna pull a lot more up on the top and less on the bottom. We don't wanna stop. If you stop, you're gonna end up with that ball on the bottom, like that thing in the back of your throat. And then if you pull too hard, it's gonna pull off. Don't think about it so much. You wanna just really one fluid motion, pulling down. Once you get to be about 2 to 3 inches, you're gonna stop pulling from up here, unless you're making a pitcher or you need a super long handle. And I start from where it starts to get thin. And I'm just sort of closing my hand a little bit more as it gets thinner. So I'm gonna start to pull, and what you may notice, because I'm not telling you I'm doing it, is that my hand is switching directions. It's going this way, and then it's going this way. Because if I go in one direction, I might end up too flat. And even if you want a flat handle, you don't wanna start with it flat. Hold back just a little bit here. So I'm gonna go this way, and then I'm gonna turn my hand and do this way, go this way, turn my hand, go this way. Or you could switch the clay and keep your hand in one spot, but you never wanna do both because it'll twist off. So then once you have a handle that is about 4 to 5 inches, I know that looks super long. You're not gonna use the entire part of the handle. You're gonna be using a part for the top that's gonna hold it up and then a little extra on the side. Now at this point, you've got the length, and you'll notice this is a pretty good girthy handle. As your mug or your pitcher gets bigger, you want a thicker handle to get a better grip. So this is, I don't know, about 3/4 of an inch wide, about a 1/2 inch deep. So now if you want it to be flat, you can now go in just one direction. So you're gonna sort of make your hand like that, and you'll go in one direction. And you wanna use your hands, not your fingers. You don't wanna go too thin because you still, again, need it to actually be able to pull something. Now you've got the handle and you may want it to be fancy. You need to do a couple of things. You could take this knuckle here, your thumb, and you can ride it like that, ride it all the way down. Hopefully you could see that little indent that I created. Or you can use this knuckle and you can go all the way down like that. So then you've got a little bit of a fancy sort of thing here. So now what you wanna do, I'll move my bucket, is you wanna squeeze the clay off from a little bit above where the handle is. So I'm gonna squeeze it off from here. Put that to the side. So you see I've got a nice chunk of clay here. Oh, hopefully that helps, you can see it better. I've got a nice chunk of clay here. And what I wanna do is one of two things. I want you to get either a wear board, a piece of wood, or if your table is dry and you have the ability to let it sit here for a while, just leave it, use the table. Now you can do one of two things. You can just lay it flat on the table here. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna start to set up. Let's see if we can move this. It's just gonna start to set up. It's going to start to dry, and you wanna make sure that it's straight, okay? But then you have to really pay attention to it. And if it starts to get too dry, when you shape it, it's gonna be a problem. Or, let's do this here. What I do is I lay it on my left hand, I wrap this around here, and I squish that glob of clay onto the table. So you see that big chunk of clay right there is helping to create this shape. And although you may not leave your handle this shape, this is gonna give it a nice foundation for when it starts to dry. And then I'm gonna let this sit here. How long do I let it sit here? Well, again, I'm sure there's a scientific way with the weather and the moisture in the air and how much water is in the clay. I just wanna let it sit there so that if I pick this up, the whole thing sort of moves together, and where when I touch it, I don't leave fingerprints. So that's like a soft leather, like Italian leather. And then what's gonna happen is, I'm just gonna fast forward, zoom, 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 pretend it's drier. You're gonna be able to sort of flex it and make it into the shape you want, and it'll hold its shape. If you want it to be a little more square in the end, I'll leave it like this. And then when it's time for me to attach it, I'm literally just gonna use this part of it, or maybe I can use long of it. But what this over here is gonna do, it's gonna give you a nice sort of amount of surface area so you can really get a good grip onto that mug. So I'm gonna let this sit here, and then hopefully maybe I can get a video if I don't forget of attaching that handle. All right, guys, have fun pulling handles. Bye.